Hey guys, so I'm going to break down in my entire trade for you, basically my entry to the exit. How did I manage the trade? Why did I even enter the trade? What were all the confirmations and confluences that I saw? And basically get a full understanding of why I take certain trades. So this was NVIDIA. This was on April the 14th on Monday. And basically for my trading style, I like to do day trades and scalps. So depending on what I see in the market, what the strength is, what the trend is, I will trade accordingly. And also, if you like these type of videos, I do this basically throughout my Discord. So if you want to get all the trade breakdowns, understand the full strategy, it's in the description below. First of all, we can see that this is my entire movement from here to there. It was pretty short scalp. Usually I'm in a trade maybe between like 5 to even 40 minutes typically. And it really just depends on what I see with the candlesticks and whether I see that price is continuing. This is the 2-minute time frame. The 2-minute time frame is the time frame that I use for executions. Outside of that, I'm doing all my pre-planning, all the analysis ahead of time. And if you look at the 1-hour time frame, so the 1-hour time frame is going to be the reasoning behind why I have a certain bias in a certain direction that day. The bias of any ticker I'm looking at changes every single day. It's all dependent on what I see in the market and where I see the strength at. So going back to this day, let me just delete this and this. What we can see, so this is my overall understanding when I am looking at the bigger picture. The 1-hour time frame basically tells me, is price bullish? Is it bearish? Is it incoming into a very strong area? And then basically I'm looking for what is the higher probability setup. So if price is in an area, what is the higher chances that it's going to be more bullish there or more bearish? And then I would trade in that direction. So this movement that I had was a trade for puts. So I was looking at a bearish movement. Now, why was I overall bearish in this area? Here, what we can see is that price was looking a little bullish. I do like to circle my areas to show like where the bigger swing highs and swing lows are. So there's a low, a higher low. This was another higher low. So this is like bullish looking. And then we have a high there, a higher high up there. And basically where price had opened up, price had already basically rejected this whole resistance here, which was the pre-market high. What we can see is that this whole area is a very strong support resistance area. So this is just an area that I marked out where price had previously rejected multiple times. So we can assume that likely if price comes up to this area, we're either going to get a reversal downward, or if price breaks above it, we may get a retest to go higher. So basically where price had opened up, we did look pretty bullish at first, but just because it's bullish does not mean it's going to always continue. If we are by a stronger level like this, there is a chance that price could go away from it. So during the pre-market area, price did come up to this area, it rejected. So how I read it as was that price looked like it was having a double top, one here, one here. So a double top is like a reversal pattern. So for me, I would be looking at puts below this area to continue this bearish rejection. So now that you understand like the overall bias here, then we go along to the 2-minute time frame. The 2-minute time frame is where I will be looking for entries. And when I am live trading, I'm not flipping between different time frames. I'm strictly looking at the 2-minute time frame because I've already done all the work ahead of time. So I know exactly where I want to trade, what setups I'm looking for, and then basically I just have to be patient for those setups. If there's no setup, then I will be trading that day. But basically, I like to follow through with a lot of the rules that allows me to be consistently profitable. Now, if we look at my levels, we have previous high, which is this green solid line. We have pre-market high, green dotted line, and then we have this low here. I'm basically summing up this after hours and pre-market areas, creating whichever is the lowest point. This was the lowest point. So these were the more of the stronger levels that I had marked. These levels just act as support resistance since price has a tendency to react again. So we have a push away when price comes down here. It looks like it's breaking, it's retesting. So it's really important to have these levels drawn. Now here, why did I enter here? A lot of my trades are usually just within the first like 1 to 2 hours of the day. I usually see there being this better strength, better volatility. When I do enter trades, they're usually higher probability since we have a lot of strength in the morning. So that's why I like to see when price opens up, is there a trend? Is the trend headed in my direction? And then I will enter once I have confirmation of that entry. So what we see at open is that wherever price came up to this resistance, price had rejected. So this was like during the pre-market area. Then at open, we have a very strong push lower. So I am basically looking at, is price showing me strength in my direction of my bias? And then once I have strength in that direction, then I want to look for an entry. I like to enter on pullbacks. Sometimes they can look really different. So specifically for this one was a little trickier to understand. I will recommend that you can turn on the line chart to see the pullbacks or any kind of consolidations, market structure, dips like that. It's really good to just visualize that. But over time, you may not need it just from like experience and stuff. So what I saw here, push down, and then what we have here is that price essentially didn't really, push any lower. It's going sideways. We have a lot of bearish movement here. So when I'm looking at the candlesticks, I'm looking at how big the bodies are, how long the wicks are, and then does it show me bullish or bearish strength? This to me is showing me a lot of bearishness in the market. So it opened up bearish. This candlestick was really bearish. It pushed all the way up here, but ended up closing down here. Same thing with this candlestick. Even though it does look bullish, it's green, what we can read from this is that because of this huge wick here, that is showing us a lot of bearish pressure. So these are all things that I like to look out for when I'm looking for entries. I just really want to see, is there strength in the market in the direction that I want it to go in? And then I'll look for when price continues in that direction. So I'm looking for a continuation in the bearish direction for me to enter the trade. So basically after price came up and had a little bit of bullishness but ended up failing, pushing down, I entered on this candlestick basically after it broke this low here. So we know that price came all the way down here. That was like the lowest point of the day. And it's really important just to know, if price makes a low of day, if price is able to break the low of day, that is a really good sign of a breakout. So either ways, depending how you interpret it, we're just looking at, is price continuing in direction, and then I enter that trade. So my entry was just like at that break here, and then that was my entry. I do full position, so I don't do any like partial take profits or like partial exits along the way. It's just full in my position, and then when I want to exit, I exit fully. So all the contracts are exited at once. And this is all at market order, by the way. So entry there, my stop loss, original stop loss, is always going to be up here. So wherever that high of the pullback is typically where I like to keep my stop loss, just because it tells me, if it breaks higher, it would show a failure to go down. So I want to exit my trade. Entry there, stop loss there, all manual executions. So this chart is just a visualization. Outside of that, I'm executing my trades on my phone. So this is more so to tell me, hey, how do I monitor the trade? How does the candlesticks look? And then I will act accordingly on my phone to execute whether I want to exit or, re-enter any positions. When I'm in this trade, I'm thinking to myself, do I see continued bearish direction? I want to see that price continues breaking down. If price is kind of stalling, it's consolidating, it's looking too bullish, then that is a sign that price may not go in my direction. So I want to be prepared to exit at any time. So as I'm in this trade, price pushes a little higher. We do see that there's like a wick below here going higher, but the next candlestick is kind of just going sideways. Couldn't even break that high here, ends up looking really bearish. So really no reason to exit. It's still showing bearishness, hasn't even come up to this area here. So we can still wait to see what happens. This next candlestick ends up breaking this low of this previous candlestick. So basically when I'm looking at any kind of candlestick, I'm seeing whether does the next candlestick break below the previous candlestick, or does it break above it? That's going to tell me whether price is truly strong in either direction. What we want to see is that price continues to break each previous candlestick low. So with this candlestick, this was a really strong candlestick, very strong push. That's what we ideally want to see in strength or any kind of trend we're in, but it doesn't always move this strong. Sometimes you can see here it creeps up a little and it takes a while, but usually this is what I want to see. I want to have immediate strength. That way I could be just in and out of my trade without having to be in it so long. In this trade, price is pushing down. As it's pushing down, what we can see is that price is breaking the low of day. So at the point in time, every single time I'm in a trade, I'm watching for, is price breaking the previous low that was created? If it does, it's showing a strong push lower. And a lot of breakout traders may be trading the low of day breakout. So basically it would show confirmation that price is still going bearish. Price breaks the low, continues down, closes all the way here. So my next stop loss is now moved to this low of day, because likely if it is a true breakout, it should not break back inside. That is the low of day. That is the stop loss that I had moved to. As price is pushing down, very nice bearish candlestick here, really strong. What we want to watch out for is this level here. This is the previous high of day. And like I say, every kind of like horizontal level, watch out for those, as those could be support resistance levels where maybe sometimes price may break through, or price has a tendency to reverse from there. So always watch out for these levels and react accordingly. If you start to see a lot of bullish movement away from it, that is likely an area where price may reverse and you may want to exit your position. But depending on your style, maybe you're okay holding it longer. That's up to you. I like to exit based on strength. So once I see a little bit of bullishness, or I see that the trend is weakening, reversing, that's when I want to call it quits and exit my trade. So down here, price closes bearish. We are by a very strong level here, the previous high. And so what you typically want to see is that price closes below the level, which it did, and the next candlestick again breaks below that low and continues down. This did not happen here. What we have here is that price made a low here, but the next candlestick immediately pushed higher. So it wicked at it, pushed immediately, really strong movement. And during that 2-minute time frame, you'll see how strong the candlestick moves. If like within like 10 seconds or 5 seconds, price immediately pushes higher, there's a lot of strength. That is a sign that there's a lot of bulls in the market, and we can end up reversing for the day. You never know. Price did end up going down, but only after it chopped around a little bit. So you never really know what's going to happen later, but I'm just going according to my plan, going according to my stop loss rules, and then basically if price wants to end up pushing lower, I'm not getting back in that trade. This is the trade I'm looking for in the morning. So as price comes down here, we see an immediate rejection away. It was really strong. Price had a really strong push. So in my eyes, I did see this as a really strong level here that price could reverse at. So depending on the trade, sometimes I may be in a trade longer, I may keep a wider stop, but based on what I've seen in the market, based on the unpredictability, every day now is not really trending all the time. So we do have like shorter moves and everything. So I just like to, act accordingly, according to what I see for the market currently. And so for this one, I just reacted to however I saw the level rejecting. I didn't want to hold on to the trade for it to come all the way up here, and then I exit, and then by that time I may be at break even, or maybe even a much, much tinier P&L. So basically I just reacted, took what I could get, looked at the overall movement so that, price is at support. I want to exit my trade. Price may likely reverse for the day, and then, so be it. So that was my entire trade. It's really short scalp. Some trades are much longer if price does show a lot of strength pushing through. But again, every trade is different. Some days I may be in a trade longer. I may exit differently. My stop loss changes throughout the trade based on how the market moves. The whole market is moving very differently all the time. So you have to kind of react to what you see. What does the market show you? How is price changing? What levels are there? What are the trends currently? Are there bigger support resistance levels? What are the news happening? Like, we have to look at all these different factors to tell us whether price is going bullish or bearish. That's what we're doing. We're trying to evaluate what is the highest probability that price will continue in that direction, and then from there leverage your trade. Maybe it's high that day, maybe it's lower, and then basically look at the type of options contracts you want to basically maximize your P&L. So after that exit, you can see that price ended up going higher. It's not always a promise. Could go higher, could go lower. We never really know. This is kind of something where if you look at it, you could have hindsight that, okay, I should have held it. Price came up here and I could have held it all the way down to this low here. You never really know. What you want to do when you're live trading is really look at it and be realistic. Like, how repeatable is this process? On another day, if you would have held it, maybe price doesn't break all the way down here. Maybe it chops around and then reverses higher. And then by that time, you are deeper in the red for your P&L. So you want to kind of compare that. You want to have the pattern recognition, study this, like the trade entries and exits and how you can manage your stop losses, because depending on the day, you may want to manage the trade differently, or every day the setup looks super different. One setup looks like this, another day it looks different, and there's different variations of the candlesticks. So essentially what I would recommend is that you study all these type of patterns, or study the understanding of the candlesticks. Where should you have a bias direction? How do we read strength? What is the trend of the market? Are we having, pals speaking at a certain time? You want to have this all ahead of time so that you could prepare for the day and you won't be blindsided by any kind of reversals or levels that you didn't see, or maybe you enter a trade right away, you get stopped out. So you want to evaluate why. And so if you want to understand how exactly I have these entries, how I trade, how I know exactly which direction to trade every day, what my bias is in my Discord, it's going to be in the description.